Season's greetings from all at Arry The Stag. Welcome back. And what we thought we'd do over Christmas was do two parts of a review of 2022. So this week we're going to look from January through to June, and then look out next week for June through to December 22. Let's go month by month and kick off the year. Happy days! So January kicked off with a very early start, going over to Sturminster Newton to meet my in-laws, where there was also a New Year's Day car gathering in the square where a multiple number of cars attended. We had a really good time. However, it did pour with rain, which wasn't much fun, but we did have a bit of a drive out, and there were lots of lovely classic cars there. It had a nice feel about it, and it was all for charity as well, and we hope to go again next year, only in a week or two's time, in fact. Meanwhile, during January in Saturday sockets, I was looking at the vagaries of flying a glider, which we practiced on back in the 1970s when I was at school. It's amazing that nobody had died in the process, I must say. And then on the bench back in the garage, I was working on the windscreen wiper mechanism and making sense of how that worked, which is very basic in fact in the end, but it was very useful for a number of people to see that actually out and about. And then we went over to the Southwestern Vehicle Auctions, as you know, where we saw a number of cars up for sale, including this wonderful L-registered white Stag, and it did sell. It was a very good value. And at the other end of the scale there was this beautiful Aston Martin James Bond style car, which I think did go for the upper end of 37 or 38 grand. Moving into February now, and I'm found loitering outside bus stops using a customer's catalogue to promote their new products and services, whilst also demonstrating my cycling skills, which were a little bit left to be desired, but I coped okay. All this whilst the missus was away in France skiing, but she did promote Arry The Stag, so that's a very good thing. And I was left walking down Pipe Duke whilst having to fend for myself a little bit, but I got to practice, and although not culinarily fantastic, it wasn't bad, but at least it gave me the opportunity to go to the pub with the boys, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And whilst all this was going on, we had just a beautiful picture of a Triumph Stag sent in from Australia, I believe, whilst we also worked on the merchandise. And at the same time, I had an opportunity to talk to Mike over in California about his wonderful very high brake horsepower project that he's working on. Meanwhile, back in Bournemouth, I was still waiting for my bus, having completely given up on my cycle riding skills and opted for public transport. Now into March, and that's always a beautiful time of year down in Dorset, and Pamp Hill near Wimborne is no exception, where there's a notorious bluebell wood that's always worth a look around. So we took the Triumph Stag out with my missus and down Pipe Duke to go and check things out, give him a walk at the same time, and enjoy some beautiful sunshine, cloudy, puffy cloudy skies, and a really great time was had by all. And just look at those flowers, aren't they fantastic? And Duke couldn't resist the chance to pose for a couple of photos either, which was magic. Now April was soon upon us, and we were heading north up to Scotland with my beloved wife and myself to go and get Eddie the S, the Saloon 2500S that we had been promised and looking forward to buying and getting home in one piece for some time. However, fate was not on our side, as having picked up the car in the first place, as you will have seen from the video in April, there was disaster looming, and we found ourselves, despite celebrating the fact that we bought the blinking thing the night before, looking forward to a trip home, spending the time on the lay-by next to a motorway on the way back with the engine blown to smithereens, which was a great shame. But nevertheless, we had a laugh, and despite Green Flag, who we've now got on speed dial, we still managed to get to see Gretna Green and enjoy a romantic couple of hours, albeit just before they closed at the end of the day, before finally getting the car back home to Bournemouth, at least then to be worked on back at home safe. Now, during May, there was lots of preparations going on for the launch of the Arry The Stag Premium channel, which is still available online. Go onto our website and check it out. We've got lots of people joining on our sharing the classic stream with lots of behind the scenes stuff, which is really great. We also took a brief holiday down to the Roseland Peninsula, and specifically down to St Maurs. On the way, we happened to spot this village called Sticker, and I couldn't resist the opportunity of taking a photograph. Plus a bit of rest and relaxation. We also discovered some wildlife, which is very interesting. I'll just ask you the question about how hedgehogs make love? Of course, the answer is very carefully indeed. But anyhow, Duke seemed to enjoy himself. He loves a nice trip out in the sunshine, and we were quite impressed with St Maur's as a town. It's a lovely place to visit with some stunning views, and an old garage still there, sporting a couple of old petrol pumps, which are still I don't know if they're actually in use anymore, but they're still present and correct, and so fantastic to see that still preserved. Back home, you'll know we were starting to work on Arry the S, and having got it home, I got under the bonnet and saw the debacle of what had happened to the engine, which has been well documented, I know, on the channel. We're shortly to get the engine back, actually, so that's really good, but it really was a cannonball disaster area. And yeah, just to remind ourselves, I suppose, of being positive with the glass half full, not half empty. So moving into Flaming June, and with the engine from Arry and also the new replacement engine, both with Saunders Motorworks, it was time to get out and enjoy the Stag a little bit more if we could. And what better opportunity to enjoy that scorching heat that we had back in the summer. You could feel it on the top of the roof as you got into the car, but great to get out and about. The evenings that time of year are stunning, and being ginger, that's the time when I like getting the roof down because I don't get sunburned half the time as badly as I would do during the day. But getting out and about and enjoying the car as is intended by Triumph is just a stunning thing. And the wife joined me a few times. We had a few nice drives out in the forest and out towards Lyndhurst. Check it back on the channel if you want to look at that and see what happened then. And of course the Queen's Jubilee was upon us, and we had some lovely garden parties and some lovely celebrations with neighbours and friends throughout that whole bank holiday weekend, which was full of pageantry, fun and frolics. And then finally, of course, we also paid a visit to Paul at Stag Classics, who showed us his Larkip project, a beautiful candy apple red Triumph Stag that he's built over the last 3 to 4 years probably. I saw this in its framework condition when he first got it, but what a stunning car it is, and just I think just celebrates the whole Triumph Stag movement, and hats off to Paul for doing such a great job. Okay, so that's it for the first half. That's part 1 finished. We'll join you again next week on Arry the Stag for part 2. Watch out for it then, and see you online on Arry the Stag very soon. Cheers for now. All the best. Bye.